Good evening and welcome. We have a lot of news and updates to get through today on November 1st from the US as well as the Africa continent. We begin from the White House today. President Biden traveled to Philadelphia today to talk to unions member and about how his administration has delivered and continue to deliver for American workers and his support for the unions member as well. The Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the Democratic candidate, is also on the road traveling to swing states, campaigning in this final stretch as we approach the November 5th, just 3 more days of the U.S. national election. As we know, the whole world is paying closer attention to this election, and just a reminder to our audience in the U.S. To remember the open election, early election already began, and if you are not able to, November 5th, as a U.S. citizen, it is our responsibility to exercise our rights. This election is consequential, and so please remember to vote. And just a reminder to everyone, this morning I was looking for vote, remember to vote t-shirt, but this is what I have, and I'm able to pull out, so I will be wearing this just as a reminder to our audience in the US as well as in African continent, as several elections are coming up on the continent as well. So moving to the Africa continent right now, US CIA Director William Burns arrived in Somalia capital this week on Thursday, yesterday, and he met with the Somalian president. They had for an official US-Somalia high-level strategic partnership talk on national, regional, and global counterterrorism effort. They also discussed advancing peace and stability in the Horn of Africa and enhancing intelligence sharing. This visit, of course, comes as friction heightening between Ethiopia and Somalia following the fallout from a maritime deal that the Ethiopia took a mile of coastal land earlier this year. So that created a controversial dispute between Ethiopia and Somalia. So the CIA director is on the continent. He also, during his visit to the continent, he also had a stop in Kenya, Egypt, and after Somalia, will be traveling to Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. During his visit in Kenya, he had discussion with Kenya authority and regarding the situation in Sudan, trying to bring an end to the ongoing war in Sudan. So we will continue to follow that story, as we know US is very involved across the continent in helping to counter terrorism, ISIS affiliates, as well as the Al-Shabaab group that have caused significant damage, significant negative impact in Somalia, in Kenya, as well in other African nations. So we will continue to focus on that story, and we will bring you any additional updates as well. And staying with US and African partnership, the US government is partnering with Tanzania on commercial dialogue digital economic subgroup to advance cyber security goals in Tanzania. And now, speaking of election, this week Botswana citizens went to the poll to cast their ballots in the country general election. And today the preliminary results show that the opposition leader of the opposition leader of the umbrella UDC party group has received a landslide win, a landslide victory. So the incumbent President Masisi conceded defeat this morning, and he called the leader of the opposition party, Duma Boko, to congratulate him as the next president-elect of Botswana. And the current president Masisi also held a press conference earlier this morning and said that during his conversation with the president-elect, that he said he is ready, he will continue to cheer him on, and is ready to begin transition to the next administration. We will continue to monitor this. It was a peaceful election in the country. As we know, this marks a major shift. Botswana have experienced significant economic decline due to reduced demand for its diamond. So we will continue to focus on that. Also in the Southern African region, this election also marks what we have been seeing across the continent this year, where citizens, especially youths, are demanding for better economic opportunity, and they are pushing for shift in governance. If the leader do not deliver, as we saw in Senegal and we saw in South Africa, and this summer we saw with the protests in Kenya as well, that youth are pushing forward and redefining the continent in a more positive way, as the IMF regional economic outlook and the IMF African Department Director Abebe Selassie said last week during the IMF World Bank 4 meeting that it is a positive thing that give the continent new hope. So we will continue to monitor that story as well. An upcoming election for another Southern Africa that we're focusing on is Namibia. The election will take place this month. And on the West African coast, Ghana, as we reported earlier this week, we all have its own election on December 7th. Now, moving to Kenya, as we mentioned earlier on, today marked a new major turning point, historic day for Kenya. Kenya new Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki was sworn in today during a ceremonial event at Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi to replace Rigathi Gachagua. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, who was elected along with who was the running mate and was elected along with President Ruto, but due to corruption allegation, he was impeached and ousted from office last month. So a major turning point, and as well as a response, as I mentioned at the top, that the response that citizens, youths are demanding for better governance across the continent. And staying with Kenya, President Ruto today signed the Sugar Bill 2022, a new bill aimed at revitalizing the sugar sector, which has faced challenges that cripple the industry. President Ruto also at the States as in Nairobi marks the Taxpayer Day today. And during that ceremony and his speech, he announced that Kenya Revenue Authority has increased collection of tax from citizens by 10%, meaning the Kenya Revenue Authority collected 10% more taxes from citizens and businesses in the last 1 year. And President Ruto described this as commendable, but added that there is more work to be done. This is in line with what the IMF as well as other has continued to urge African leaders regarding revenue mobilization for them, that we help them reduce their debt burden and the amount of debt that they carry or borrow, the money that they borrow. So and staying with Kenya, one other story on Kenya, leaders from American health business Johnson & Johnson Health Equity traveled to Kenya this week and held a meeting with the U.S. ambassador to Kenya, Ambassador Meg Whitman, for discussion on collaboration between the U.S. and Kenya on health initiative and health equity. So now, we are moving to another country. We're moving to Nigeria, and this also corresponded to government response to the outcry from the public. The Nigeria Authority, the National Economic Council, recommends the withdrawal of current tax reform bill to allow for a comprehensive consultation with stakeholders so that we align with the far-reaching impact of the proposed tax reform. This we allow withdrawing it. We allow the public and the civil society input, comprehensive input, the governments across the continent, as we saw Kenya did recently, to allow citizens, the civil society, to have an input in some of the bill that the government is putting out that will have significant impact on the public as well. And now Senegal, we're now moving to Senegal. The president of Senegal is on official trip to Turkey, where he met with the president of Turkey, President Erdogan, and where they had bilateral talk on Turkey-Senegal investments and aim at strengthening bilateral ties, as well as encouraging investment in agriculture and energy in Senegal. Now we're staying with African leaders gathered for the COMESA summit, Common Africa for Eastern and Southern Africa, to ratify Pan-African payments and settlement system to enable an ease trade among the country. Of course, this go into the African Continental Free Trade Agreement as part of this to increase cross-border trade between countries across the continent, and improve payment as well. There has been a lot of trading between the country, between nations across the continent have been fragmented. Of course, like a lot of analysts and leaders have said, sometimes it's a lot easier to export product overseas and then bring it back into the country rather than exchanging businesses between the countries. So this during their talk is to ratify Pan-Africa payment system and settlement system that will increase and ease trade among countries the 54 countries across the continent. We will continue to follow that story, and we will bring you additional updates as well. Now, Sierra Leone. There is an event that took place this week that we participated in virtually. The President Julia Bio of Sierra Leone held bilateral talk with senior officials from the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, on partnership opportunity, including climate smart rice production, supporting women entrepreneurs on agri and food sector. The meeting was also attended by the African Development Bank President Adesina, who is a champion for optimistic CEO for Africa. The meeting took place on the sideline, as I said, of the World Food Prize Norman Borlaug International Dialogue in Iowa this week. It was a 3-day event that concluded today. President Adesina, as well as the World Bank President Ajay Banga, and other U.S. officials, including the USAID, participated, and the USDA senior official all participated in this program. As well as the representative to bring more awareness on climate, on collaboration, on reducing hunger and increasing food production, and resilience, addressing climate crisis, and bringing climate adaptation grain to the African continent as well as the rest of the world. So, and lastly, an update on the Marburg virus outbreak in Rwanda. The African CDC Director General John Kaseya is on a visit to Kigali, Rwanda, where today he arrived and met with the President of Rwanda, President Paul Kagame, for a bilateral talk, as well as to see firsthand on the ground the ongoing response to the outbreak. We've reported on this, and on the Mpox outbreak, Mauritania announced is the 19th country. Mauritius is the 19th country that announced that it has a case of Mpox on the African continent. Vaccination has begun in DRC as well as in other countries. Nigeria currently is holding off vaccination, and the World Health Organization continue to work across the continent with leaders on the continent. We will have additional, more in-depth updates in our newsletter, and we will bring you more updates on this next week. And this wrap up our news for today and updates for today. And before I go, I know last month we said we will bring you information, additional detail throughout the month regarding to mark the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as well as how the Biden-Harris administration is working to end this, to bring in hand, find solution, find treatment, holistic treatment, and therapeutic drug to address the breast cancer as well as various other cancer through their cancer Moonshot. Well, as many of you know, shortly after that announcement, I myself had a medical health emergency that did not allow us to be able to bring you some of those stories that we plan on. But moving forward, as part of our news wrap and update, we will be bringing you those stories between now and the end of the year. And today, we are bringing you story from some of the survivor, an event that I attended, the Susan G. Coma walk, and survivor shared their story, as well as family shared their story. And what was so moving in this video that you will see at the end of this, I'm sorry again, my voice, that you will see at the end of this, is the moving story of each survivor, as well as their dance, the survivor dance, the joy of beating these diseases that are beating cancer, and the stories of families that have lost loved ones that continue to support other people to get their mammogram done, as well as get screening for other type of cancer. And this wrap up our news updates and news wrap and updates for today, November 1st. As I said, vote. Don't forget to vote next week. Make sure you have it down in your calendar. And now it is essential. This is a consequential election in the US for us, that we have significant impacts, not just on the US, but on the global economic and global development. So it is important that if you have been thinking of sitting this out, it is important that you make time to cast your votes for whoever it is that you are supporting. But freedom, democracy is on the line in this election. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Kemi Oshikoya. I will see you next week. Have a good evening and have a good weekend. Your story, you're a survivor.
Oh yes, since 2014, I was a zero. I was also found to be zero cancer, and I only had, they removed, it said, the doctor said it was the size of my fingertip, and they only removed a quarter's worth of my skin. I didn't have to have surgery, and God bless, I didn't have to have chemo, and they just did radiation for about 16 weeks.
And you have been free
ever since.
Okay.
By the grace of God.
And you're here today with your family.
Yeah, these are my grandsons.
With your grandkids.
My girlfriend.
And this is your daughter.
Yes.
Yeah. So congratulations.
Thank you for taking our picture.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Diagnosed in 2022, and I went through treatment all of 2023, so I consider myself a survivor for my first year.
This is your first
Yeah, my first year as being a survivor, so I'm thankful to the doctors and the nurses and God and my family.
and your family.
Yes.
You have your family here today?
My neighbor is here. My family is not here with me. My neighbor came. Her sister, her sister passed away from lung cancer. But cancer is cancer, so she's still supporting me.
Do you mind telling us what type of cancer you were treated for?
Triple negative breast cancer.
Triple negative breast cancer. say to women right now?
Be adamant about getting your mammograms. Even when COVID hit, I was still able to get my mammograms. I've been getting them every year. So it just shocked me when they found something because the year before everything was normal. But thank God it was a small tumor, so they were able to get it off. But just always get your mammograms. Always don't miss them. It's very important. Always do that. I probably wouldn't be here today if I didn't go ahead and get my mammogram like I was supposed to.
Okay, thank you very much. Are you with your daughter? Can you talk to us about your story? Oh, is this your first one? Yeah, I'm a 14 year survivor. 14 years of survivor. This is the dance of survivor, right?
Right here.
For your wife and your friend and your dog right here. So it's important for you to be here today.
Huh?
I said it is important for you to be here today.
Yeah, because women, like 1 in 8 women get breast cancer. So, anything that help with a woman, help to, stay beautiful. That's what it is.
Okay, thank you. You see here every nationality here, gathered here. Hi, you just finished working in the student coma ward.
I was in 6th place.
You were in 6th place. Oh wow! I'm so proud of you, and I'm pretty sure know your mom also is very proud of you. Yeah. So why you're working today? Are you working for yourself or for a family member? You are a survivor. You are not a survivor. So you just want to do this work to support other women. And you got your daughter with you. Why, like keeping, why is it important to you to support other women that are going through this process or that have gone through this?
Tomorrow many times live this. We never know what will happen tomorrow, so we have to help them.
Okay. And you brought your daughter, why?
Because we have to nice place. All my family.
All your family is right here. And you? Talk to me about, you said you were not sick, right? Talk to me about the experience that you had here. Is this your first time?
No, my sixth time.
Your sixth time running, doing this. You've been doing this since you were little. So every year you look forward to this. Every year. So talk to me about that experience. Like why it is important for you to support women.
Because
it's not just about working, right?
yeah, you never know if it happens to you or not.
And you never know if it will happen to you or even if it will happen to your family member, right? And you want, as a young girl, can you tell me when you grow up, what do you want to be? Do you want?
I want to be a designer.
You want to be a designer.
Yeah.
So somebody that will design probably some of these t-shirts that we're wearing, that people are wearing today, right? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Even my son got the second place.
Huh?
My son got the second place.
Your son got the second place. Where? Your mom is so proud of you.
Yeah.
She told me you got second place.
Second place, yeah.
And your sister got sixth place. So this is a family affair.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
Couple of years now.
Couple of years?
Yeah.
So you look forward to being part of this every year. So what does it mean to you?
I like to spread awareness to breast cancer. Like, if I can help in any way, I'd love to.
And so right now, this is your way of helping,
Yes.
of spreading more awareness. And what would you like to tell your peers?
Anything helps. Just going out and doing stuff like this helps. You show that you care.
Thank you, and thank you so much for caring. Thank you. Congratulations.